Well, it's funny you said that. I just heard from an ag leader 2 days ago in Minnesota who said that even if there's a 10% tariff from China on soybeans, zero Minnesota soybeans will go to China because it's a competitive global market. It's a commodity. They will have to go someplace else. And so in many sectors, whether it's a 10% tariff or 50% or 100% tariff, it has dramatic effect on the trade flows. And so a lot of my folks that I hear from here are quite concerned about it.
Yet Bloomberg was already reporting that China was purchasing soybeans from Brazil, so looking to other suppliers potentially. I want to ask you more broadly, beyond your state. You said on CNBC this past week, investors may now be saying America is no longer the most attractive place in the world to invest. What makes you say that?
Well, we have to start at what causes a trade deficit. It's just economic math that if investors around the world say one country is the best place to invest, the math works out that that country will have a trade deficit. And part of how that shows up for that economy is interest rates will be lower across the economy because investors are investing and bringing their money into that economy. So now, if we're not going to have a trade deficit going forward, then investors must conclude that there are other attractive places to invest too. And as we see yields go up, we're seeing the Treasury yields go up. The reason the Fed cares about this is we have to make sure that it's not inflation that's driving those yields up. It could be that investors are saying, hey, there are other places we also want to invest, that it won't just be everybody wants to pour money in America. So these are very complicated details to sort out. The Fed's job is to keep inflation under control and not let it get unanchored.
So people typically think of U.S. Treasuries as the safe thing to buy in a crisis because they're backed by the full faith and credit of the U.S. government. So when the president says the bond markets got queasy, and that was part of his decision in delaying these reciprocal tariffs, what does that say to you? How do you interpret that the bond market got spooked like it did?
Well, I think investors in the U.S. and around the world are trying to determine what is the new normal in America. You know, I saw an interview on Friday where BlackRock CEO Larry Fink speculated that maybe the 10-year Treasury would go to a 5% yield. He just offered it as a possibility. We don't know where that new normal level is going to be. And we at the Fed have no ability, zero ability to affect that destination. And I think markets are searching for where are these trade negotiations going to end up. Ultimately, that destination, whether it's a 5% Treasury or 4 or something else, that's 100% determined by trade policy and fiscal policy. And I think there's a lot of uncertainty in the markets about what is that new destination. And we're going to have to watch and see. And at the Fed, our job is to keep inflation under control so that rate isn't even higher.